So, students, we were revising the grade ninth, chapter 1, political science. What is democracy? Why democracy? Until now, we have discussed the definition of democracy and features of democracy. That is, what is democracy? And now we have to discuss why democracy. And in this, we will see some of the arguments against democracy and some of the arguments in favor of democracy. So, let's see first of the arguments against democracy. That the first argument against democracy is instability. Whether democratic governments, whether the coalition governments are formed, so it is a very unstable government. Instability is there because leaders keep on changing. So that's why in democracy, lot of instability is there, and instability is seen whenever any coalition government is made. When any political party is not having absolute majority in the parliament, then the coalition government is made. And whenever coalition government is made, if one of the party withdrew the support, then the government collapses or falls. So there is a lot of instability in the democratic governments. This also we have seen. Second is low morality. So in democracy, it's all about politics and power play, and capturing the power, taking the positions, holding the positions and power. This is all about power play in politics in democratic countries, and there is no scope for moral values and ethics and honesty. So these kind of values doesn't hold any good in today's political scenario. Then the next is delay in decision making. So in democracy, we have seen there is a lot of delay in the decision making because so many institutions need to be consulted, both the houses of parliament, then the bill goes to the president for assent or his consent, and it takes lot of time. In democracy, lot of consultation and discussion is done. So many institutions need to be consulted, so that's why lot of delay is there in the decision making, and there is no scope for quick decision making. Bad decisions, because leaders, they are not aware of the best interest of the voters or best interest of the citizens, so they usually take the bad decisions. Then after that, corruption. So open electoral competition is there in our country, multi-party system we have. So in elections, whosoever is contesting election, they want to win, and for winning they can go for any kind of malpractices and fraud, and this leads to corruption in the system. And then politically unconscious uneducated voters we have. So illiteracy rates are very high, so the voters, they don't know their best interest also, and they don't know how to cast vote, and just for simple favors they sell their vote, or they cast their vote to the unfavorable candidate. So they don't know that their one vote value a lot, and they can bring so many changes by casting their votes appropriately. But again, so this is again one of the arguments against democracy, that illiterate and politically unconscious voters are there in our country. So all these are the arguments against democracy. Unstable governments we have seen, no moral values people have, leaders have no ethics, and decision making also take a lot of time. And after that, also bad decisions came out. Corruption, lot of corruption is there, and uneducated voter and unconscious, politically unconscious citizens democracies have. So now we have to discuss arguments for democracy, that is in favor of democracy. So the first argument is accountable government. That the in democracy, the governments are answerable to the people. They are responsive to the needs of the people. Whatever policy making has to be done, it should be according to the need of the people. So democratic government is accountable government, legitimate government, and responsive government. So we have seen that in the period from 1958 to 61, the worst famine happened in the China. But in our country, after independence, we have not seen such kind of famines. Why? Because of the difference in the policy making between India and China. India is a multi-party state, and China is a one-party state. So here, in our case, multi-party system, we are having strong opposition. Media pressure is there on the government. So they make the policies which are according to the needs of the people, because the government is answerable to the people. So the democratic government is always accountable to the people. So such kind of policies are made, like in our case, after independence, most of the thrust was given to the agrarian economy, agriculture, green revolution happened. We became self-sufficient in the food grain production. FCI, Food Corporation of India, they take care of all the stocking and procurement of these food grains. And PDS is there where the distribution is done, public distribution system where the distribution is done of these food grains to the marginalized section of our society. And if any of the calamities happen, any shortages there of the food, then we have a surplus stocks, buffer stocks are there with the government. So government can release whenever any pandemic is there, any situation is there, flood, earthquakes are there, droughts are there, government can release the food grain supply. So the food security policy we have in our country. But in the case of why? Because of the multi-party system, democratic country, we are accountable government. But in the case of China, so this policy making was different because one party state, no opposition, no media pressure. So there is a difference in the policy making in democracies also. Then after that, next is based on consultation and discussion. So in democracy, whatever decision we are taking, these are based on lot of debates, consultation and discussion done in the parliament in both the houses. So many months it take to discuss each and every clause. So whatever decision, whatever law is passed, that is passed after lot of consultation and discussion in democracy. Next is deal with differences. So diverse society we have. So India is a diverse, religiously, traditionally, culturally, geographically, we are diverse nation. So if majority community will dominate on the minority community, then the conflicts will arise. But if power sharing is done with the minority community, then the harmony will be there in the country, peace will be there. It is not that the majority will rule or suppress the minority in whichever wish they want. In democracy, power sharing is a very spirit of the democracy. So if we will not share the power with the minority community, then the civil war like conditions will be there in the country. But if power sharing is done, like in our case, to minorities also, we give them reservations, the concept of reserved constituencies are there. In education also, we provide them reservations, decentralization we have done, empowering our local level. So it means the power is divided in our country. So in democracy, the power sharing is very spirit of the democracy. Political equality. So we all are politically equal we are. So it enhances our dignity. Everybody is having right to vote, like we have seen in the case of European countries, French Revolution. The women, they were denied this very basic right. But after our independence, everybody got this right to vote, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, color, or educational background or status. Room for correction. So there is a room for correction. If any of the any mistake happens in the law making, then judiciary is there. They have a power of judicial review. That is, if any of the law is made by the parliament is not according to the constitutional provisions, they can change that law, or they can declare that null and void. The judiciary can tell to parliament to amend this law, or they can declare that law as null and void. So if any mistake is made, it can be corrected also, like in reservation policies. If any reservation is given to socially and educationally backward classes and if protest started, so amendment can be made within those laws also. Opportunities for flourishing. So democracy provides equal opportunities to all the citizens. If the person is capable, so they can encash this kind of opportunities which are provided by the democratic government. Equality is there whenever any exam is there, so any admission in any of the educational institutions, so no discrimination is done on the basis of religion or any other caste. So if the person is capable and they have cleared the entrance, they can go for the admission. So the opportunities are there in the democracy for flourishing and for your personal growth. So these were all the arguments which work in favor of democracy. We have adopted this system because of all these merits, that in democracy the government is unstable, we can ask the government, and lot of discussion and debate happens in democracy. Differences also we can deal very easily. Political equality is that it enhances the dignity of its citizens. Room for correction. If any of the mistake is made, it can be corrected in democracy, and opportunities for your personal growth.